You know, back in the late 2000s, right when reality TV and celebrity blogs were absolutely exploding, a story came out that was, well, it was shocking, but at the same time, it felt like it was bound to happen. We're talking about a group of teenagers, completely obsessed with the rich and famous, who decided to literally steal their way into that world. Let's get into the wild, true story of the group everyone started calling the Bling Ring. And we're not talking about petty theft here. Between 2008 and 2009, this crew walked away with over $3 million. That's in cash, designer clothes, priceless jewelry, all of it snatched from the homes of some of the biggest stars on the planet. So, yeah, that's the big question, right? How in the world did a bunch of kids from the Valley manage to get past all the security and treat these Hollywood mansions like their own personal department stores? Well, the answer is this crazy mix of teenage obsession, new technology, and, you won't believe it, some seriously careless celebrities. Okay, so to really get how this all went down, we need to go back to the beginning. We're talking about an alternative high school in Calabasas, where we meet the two people at the absolute center of this whole thing. Their dynamic really set the stage for one of the wildest crime sprees in Hollywood history. So on one side, you've got Rachel Lee. She was the popular one, the best-dressed girl in the yearbook, basically the ringleader. And then there's Nick Prugo. He was quiet, a little awkward, and he later said he was just totally infatuated with her. He pretty much followed wherever she led. And, well, that path took them straight into some very empty, very expensive Hollywood homes. So who's the first celebrity they decide to hit? Paris Hilton. And the reason why is almost insulting. They later said they just figured she'd be dumb and careless about security. And you know what? They were 100% right. You gotta understand, that first break-in at Paris Hilton's place, it wasn't some sophisticated Ocean's 11 style heist. It was ridiculously easy. And because it was so easy, it just fueled them to do more. In fact, Rachel Lee had this little catchphrase she'd use when they'd go out: "Let's go shopping." I mean, the way they got in is just, it's almost funny. They literally found a key under the doormat. Once they were inside, the door was unlocked, the safe was unlocked, they found cash, designer stuff, even drugs just sitting out. It was a complete free-for-all. You know, Prigozhin's own lawyer put it best. The amount of luxury stuff just laying around was insane. It really was like they had stumbled into this exclusive, unguarded store, and they just helped themselves. Okay, so after that first score goes off without a hitch, they start to get a little cocky. The group gets bigger, and their methods get a bit more sophisticated. They figured out they could use the very tools of celebrity culture, gossip sites, social media, to plan their heists with incredible accuracy. This was truly a crime spree for the digital age. I mean, think about it. They were using sites like TMZ to see who owned what, checking Twitter to know exactly when a star was out of town for an event, and then hopping on Google Earth to literally get a bird's eye view of the property to find the easiest way in. And just look at this list of who they went after. It's a who's who of late 2000s Hollywood. From A-list actors to reality TV stars, it seemed like anyone with a famous last name was a potential target. The sheer scale of what they took is just mind-boggling. With Paris Hilton, they got so comfortable, it's kinda insane. They went back to her house at least 5 different times. All told, they took almost $2 million from her place alone, and apparently she didn't even notice for a while. Then you've got Orlando Bloom's place, which was another huge score. They hit his house because his girlfriend at the time, Miranda Kerr, was living there. They got away with about $500,000 worth of stuff, including his entire very valuable collection of Rolex watches. But for Rachel Lee, the ringleader, the real prize, her personal fashion icon, was Lindsay Lohan. Hitting Lohan's house was the ultimate goal for her. The crew stole around $130,000 in clothes and jewelry, and that particular heist would turn out to be a massive mistake. You know how these stories go, right? With every single robbery, they got more and more confident and way, way sloppier. They started bragging to friends, posting pictures of themselves with the stolen goods online. They just weren't being careful anymore, and it was all about to come crashing down. It all starts to unravel on Oscar night in 2009. They rob reality star Audrina Patridge, and she immediately posts the grainy security footage online. But instead of laying low, they get even bolder and hit Lindsay Lohan's place. Big mistake. Lohan's cameras got perfect, crystal-clear shots of their faces. With that evidence, it didn't take long for the police to get a tip, arrest Nick Prugo, and he sang like a canary. He told them everything. And what Audrina Patridge said afterwards just perfectly sums up how surreal this whole thing was. Everyone expected to see these hardened professional criminals on the tape. But no, it was just kids. Kids from the suburbs. This wasn't about organized crime, it was about some seriously twisted celebrity worship. But, believe it or not, getting arrested wasn't the end of the story. Not even close. In this super weird, ironic twist, the very crimes they committed to get closer to fame actually made them famous. Their story became a full-blown media sensation. And you'd think, for stealing millions of dollars, they'd get some serious time, right? Well, not exactly. The sentences were surprisingly light. Rachel Lee, the ringleader, only served 16 months. Nick Prugo did a year. And Alexis Haynes, who was actually filming a reality show when she was arrested, she served just about a month. As you can see, their lives have all gone in pretty different directions since then. This is where the story goes from a crime spree to, well, to a pop culture phenomenon. It got its own reality show, a legendary Vanity Fair article, a major movie directed by Sofia Coppola starring Emma Watson, and even a recent Netflix documentary. The Bling Ring became a brand. They became a part of history. And I saw this comment on Reddit that just, yeah, it absolutely nails it. What does it say about us as a culture that these teenagers who committed all these crimes because they were obsessed with fame were ultimately rewarded with, well, fame? So it all comes down to this one kind of uncomfortable question. Sure, they went to jail for a bit, but in the end, they became famous. Their names are known, their story is told over and over again. So did they actually get exactly what they wanted all along? Makes you think, doesn't it?